this parcel of land is literally a toxic foundation that they want to build this compressor on. It's built on coal ash, and coal ash has a number of toxic compounds in it, including arsenic, selenium, other metals that are toxic to human health. In addition, there is asbestos known to be in this site from burner bricks that was used in previous coal-fired electricity generation in this area. And finally, there's 11 million gallons of diesel fuel oil that have spilled into this site and soaked into this. So it's a toxic mess.
They should not be digging up highly contaminated soil. I want to mention something that Margaret brought up this morning. A letter from a Courtney Rains that you should have a copy of if you get our emails, to the legislators. She's in the Department of Energy and Environment, and she said that the asbestos was of no concern to the state.
In 2015, Spectra Corporation, now Enbridge Corporation, announced plans to build a 7,700 horsepower fracked gas compressor station in Weymouth, Massachusetts. Compressor stations pump dangerous toxic gas, often misnamed as natural gas, along pipelines under extremely high pressure. Enbridge planned to pump this toxic gas through the Weymouth Compressor Station to Canada, ultimately destined for Europe. Local Massachusetts gas companies and utilities have rejected the need for and use of the Enbridge gas from the Weymouth Compressor Station. Will Enbridge Corporation be allowed to poison the residents of the Fore River Basin with toxic gases? Will they be allowed to cause irreparable harm to people from cancer-causing chemicals? Will they be allowed to put many thousands of people at risk of a catastrophic explosion?
Climate justice! When do we want it? Now! 1. We are the people. 2. We are each other. 3. We will not let you wreck our planet!
Right now they're just prepping the site for the actual removal of 1,100 truckloads of dirt and building a compressor station.
Christina, I'm here because of the complete failure of our government and the system to enforce regulations and to keep the people safe, and how legal pathways completely failed this community.
I don't understand how a compressor station can be put in such a high density area.
I'm against this compressor because from day one it has been unnecessary and dangerous. Digging up this earth, which was landfill, has released toxins. The actual compressor is not necessary for Massachusetts, or anyway, gas is the past.
Fossil fuels are killing our planet and us.
This project proves that the regulations are working exactly the way they're designed. And they are designed deep in the legislative process where the lobbyists do the work and the regular people are completely ignored.
I've learned a lot about how ruthless and greedy the gas and oil industry is. And it's kind of been an educational process for me. I tend to bury my head in the sand about things, but no more. To do this, to me, is the most unethical thing to do. And so for that reason, I just keep doing it. I'll just be here until somebody tells me to move on.
I'm here fighting today because we need to shut this down for the sake of future generations.
There's so much wrong with this that it escapes me how to sum it up. It's awful. It's horrible for all of us, for the whole planet.
The 3,100 children live within 1 mile. And right across the river here, in Nag Harbor schools, they have the highest rate of asthma in the state.
Well, I've gotten very interested in air, and air is all around us. So it's something you don't think about because it's invisible. But locally, this huge gas corporation is proposing to put in a fracked gas compressor station right near where I live. And now I'm finding out what comes out of this compressor station. Well, one of the things that is emitted, and it's called 1,3-butadiene, acetaldehyde, acrolein, benzene, ethylbenzene, formaldehydes, naphthalene, propylene oxide, toluene, xylenes. So my last one is 2-hexanone, and they're all toxic. It's all about the breath. It's all about the breath.
Natural gas. Not so natural. Not so safe.
Families living next to compressor stations can expect to be exposed to chemicals linked to acute respiratory issues, blood disorders, and the EPA classified known carcinogen benzene, just to start. And of course, there's the chance of incident. In some cases, a massive explosion. While attending the recent symposium, Natural Gas Infrastructure and Public Health, organized by many of my friends here in the room, I saw a presentation by Kathleen Bovin, a plastics engineer who also lives in Rehoboth. It scared the pants off me. I learned that more than 50% of the pipelines in our country were grandfathered in and have never been validated by pressure testing to current standards. I learned that the rate of incidents increased 5-fold from the 2000s to the 2010s. Kathleen explained that the industry doesn't have a good answer for this, but we do know that fracking took off in the 2010s, and the rush to push it out through ever high pressure pipelines have increased. Can you really blame folks for being concerned? And if all that weren't enough, building new fossil fuel infrastructure in our region that will last for 40 to 60 years would obviously smother our efforts to curb climate change.
The people shall have the right to clean air, clean water, freedom from unnecessary noise in the natural, scenic, and historic values of their environment.
Try to envision the wildflowers, the trees, the marsh grass, and all of the things and the beauty that was here. We're going to continue to fight. That we have to stay in community and take care of one another and take care of ourselves as we continue this fight. And we will continue.
This is a corporation that does not care about health and safety of even their own workers and any of the residents here, and they are willing to pollute and toxic releases into community all over the place. And the other thing I say is that this facility is a carbon bomb. They're attempting to ruin the future for all of our kids all across the Commonwealth, all across the planet. This Atlantic Bridge project that they're attempting to build, if completed, would enable the release of carbon emissions that is equivalent to 1.1 million motor vehicles. There is only 2.3 million motor vehicles registered in Massachusetts. So this is a carbon bomb that will blow away any chance that Massachusetts has to achieve its legal mandate for the Global Warming Solutions Act. They're not going to be able to do it. So this is an illegal project, and we need to hold them accountable. We need to shut this place down.
Yeah! Shut it down! Shut it down! Shut it down! Shut it down! Shut it down!
For years, we have been drawing attention to the known health risks that this facility represents for people who live in the Fore River Basin. We have written a number of extensive and detailed reports outlining these concerns, and we have taken the concerns directly to the Massachusetts leadership and administration. We are really despaired that the facility now is in operation. We well know that the Fore River Basin is a site of a lot of industrial infrastructure that is already in existence. And prior to the construction of this plant, we already know that people who live in the communities surrounding these industrial sites have higher risks of cancer, asthma, other respiratory diseases. That was before this plant was built. And we know that the gas that is released from this plant is a potent human carcinogen and respiratory irritant. And so these health risks are only going to get worse as the air quality in the area around here worsens. Explosive potential of the gas itself. So the gas that is pumped through this facility is comprised primarily of methane, but it also contains other air pollutants and air toxics. So aside from its explosive risk, there's also its risk to human health from breathing this material.
I don't have to do one scientific study to know why we have a disproportionate number of carcinogens in our community, because almost every community of color is built on the most toxic land in America. You don't have to have a degree to know that.
Over here in Weymouth, on the Weymouth side, we have folks that live in very close proximity. These are not wealthy families. These are families who, in many cases, have been here for generations. Working class, middle class families. And on the other side of the river, over there on the Quincy side, you can see that there's a multi-story apartment building, and that is low-income senior housing. And the whole area over there is an environmental justice community.
Because Germantown and the Fore River Basin are home to long-time industrial sites, including the newly built compressor station. We have much we have to continue to fight for. We'd like to welcome and thank Reverend Betsy Sowers, who's behind me here, from Fracked, to share more on environmental justice.
Germantown, Quincy Point, and parts of East Braintree are all HA communities right here. And if you draw a circle around the mouth of the Fore River, within 2 miles are all of those HA communities. More air pollution, lack of access to gardens and fresh food, lack of access to safe outdoor spaces for health and recreation. Right here in the basin, we have elevated asthma, cancer, neurological diseases, and then there's a whole other set of issues for indigenous communities on their land rights and the rights to make decisions about their historic lands. The number one way to find pollution in the United States is to look for the zip codes of people of color. The number 2 way is to look for the zip codes of people with low wealth. And that's where you're going to find the pollution. In 2018, 8.7 million people globally died from air pollution. And there's a revolving door where a lot of times people who work in the regulatory side of things end up, their next job is in the industry, and then maybe they'll come back and be a regulator. So the people who are regulating have a lot of incentive to do what the industry wants, because that might be their next employer. So they have a lot of incentive to put their own self-interest over the interest of the people they're supposed to be serving in the regulations.
Fracked has been waging a fight to stop the Weymouth Fracked gas compressor station since January 2015. Since then, there has been an endless roller coaster ride. Permit approvals, permit denials, permit appeals, more approvals. air quality, wetlands permits, waterway permits, Concom permits, every kind of permit, lawsuits, more lawsuits, legal appeals, more legal appeals, counter lawsuits, science analysis by Fracks, more science analysis, thinking and planning, hearings, pre-hearings, motion for stays, more appeals, public involvement plan hearings, health impact assessment community meetings, FERC hearings, superseding orders of conditions, reports, phone calls and email to Governor Baker, the Mass DEP, FERC, radio stations, TV stations, newspapers, senators, congressmen, state and elected officials, Attorney General Healy, Governor Baker again, and everybody else. And then there's the demonstrations, rallies, the tweeting, the Facebooking, more Facebooking, weekly standouts on the bridge, many photographs, many videos, science talks, art-making events, art gallery shows, gathering of the elves, monthly Fracks organizing meetings, daily sit-in at Governor Baker's office by Andrea, hunger strike by Nathan, blocking trucks, blocking the entrance, people chaining themselves to construction machinery, 4 people arrested, 9 people arrested, 13 people arrested. And that's only a few things that Fracks and other environmental organizations and activists from everywhere have been doing in the last 6 years, from 2015 to 2021.
Welcome to Fracks. If this is your first time here, I'm Alice Sabrina. I am the lead of Fracks. This is our treasurer, administrator, wetlands, all around incredible person, Laura. And we have Fracks board members mixed in here. Our lawyer, Mike Hayden's over here. Our environmental guy, Mike Lang, Margaret, Father Andrew, Judy. So lots of people here.
As always, any donations are always accepted and appreciated. If you need a yard sign, let us know. If we haven't already gotten your email, please be sure you sign in legibly with that so we can keep you up to date. And as always, candy and water. And that's it, really easy peasy. Just be mindful. Thanks.
Margaret, do you want to talk about the meeting this night?
Well, it was the funniest meeting I've ever been to. It was hysterical because it was absurd. It was an absurd meeting. We had expected Mass DEP to be there, and we were all prepared to direct all our comments and everything to Mass DEP, but Mass DEP was not there. We thought Enbridge would be there, Spectra. They were not there. The only person that was there was the licensed site professional. Her name is Kelly.
No takers too.
And except that, that whole no-taker thing might be an indication of the sham of that meeting because they didn't even have a tape recorder. But we were lucky enough to have our videographers record the whole thing. So that is going to be a document that we'll be able to see if you weren't there. The whole thing was recorded by our people. What was her name? Kelly, K-E-L-L-E-Y, Race, R-A-C-E. Who are you being paid by? And she said, Enbridge.
TRC, is that the same company who was subcontracted to help Spectra write the resource reports for Atlantic Bridge?
Yes.
So like resource report 6?
Yes.
So TRC helped write the thousands of documents that helped this project move along, which ended up with a favorable EA. And then weren't you specifically present on behalf of Spectra at the April 6, 2016 and May 25th, 2016 Conservation Commission on behalf of Spectra to help push the wetlands permit?
Not to push the wetlands permit. I was actually asked a question regarding contamination at the site.
But you were there on behalf of Spectra,
yes,
correct?
I do work for Spectra.
Yes. They paid you. So I guess if this is I'll be honest and I'm just laying term because I don't understand how this petitioner group who did a lot of work through Mass DEP I don't get now how the company that started writing all the reports to help push this and then has gone along through the whole process is now in charge of taking our comments and concerns and kind of having an unbiased opinion to judge them. Is this typical in one?
So last night, those of you who came to the PIP meeting at the Abigail Adams School, it was impressive because we had probably about 80 people there at a 5:30 meeting, which was astonishing. We had fantastic commentary. I was blown away. The things that people, were just kind of coming up with and going on and on. We had done a sort of a plan for our 16 people, but people just took off with this.
And if Mass DEP has already showed their true colors and allowed Spectra to essentially edit their own application as to how much they wanted to pollute my air, do I trust this process? No. While others were talking, I Googled your website for TRC and found your mission statement, which starts out, "We understand our clients' goals and embrace them as our own." Here we are with a parcel of land composed of lethally toxic fill adjacent to Boston Harbor, or recently and expensively cleaned Boston Harbor, wetlands, a public park, a major herring run, and 2 environmental justice communities. It is already vulnerable to inundation from major storms that you have heard, and eventually will be underwater. Has TRC ever advised that their client's proposed project not be advanced because of the environmental threats? And if not, what would need to happen for TRC to make such a finding?
I just spent the last several days at the hospital. I had a daughter who's very ill. I think every day about her lung disease and whether her living in this community her entire life is part of that.
The whole idea of putting a gas compressor in a highly populated area is totally insane.
It's a damn shame that Mass DEP didn't show up here tonight.
But then we have the Waterways Appeal, the second part of the Waterways Appeal, I might add, with the DEP. And Margaret, who likes to pass notes during these things, wrote down, who are we? Who is Frack's fighting? Are we fighting Algonquin, Enbridge, Spectra, whatever their name is today? Or are we fighting the DEP? Okay. And it's hard to tell the difference. When we sit there in these hearings and we watch the DEP lawyers passing notes to the Spectra lawyers, when we see them chit-chatting about different issues, and seriously, I'm going to use the word collude because we hear that a lot these days. When the transcripts come out of this, you are going to be shocked.
Hey everyone.
Millie Garcia, she's not in the office. Okay, who would be the next person that we could
Deborah? Deborah.
Should I stop?
It's not you.
Or
Marshall Hewlett.
Mark's on vacation.
How about Deborah?
I think she's in a meeting right now, but we have someone coming down.
Alice Rena, it's
Hi,
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Nice to meet you. Why we're here today is because we are citizens, obviously, from the Fore River residents in Weymouth, Quincy, Braintree, and many, many citizens from around the state who are concerned about what's going on in Weymouth. This is Margaret Bellafiore.
Hi, how are you?
Nice to meet you.
Margaret is the head of the public involvement plan that had to do with contamination at the site, and I'm not sure how familiar you are.
The waste site cleanup aspects of it?
Yes, exactly.
So not really.
Well, we were hoping
familiar.
to see Gerard Martin, but
He's out right now.
We have been sending emails since October. The emails are not being answered. we've been making phone calls. The phone calls are not being answered. And we are sort of at a loss as to what can we do here. We have very, very legitimate questions. We also believe that TRC, the company that is overseeing this, they are the licensed site professional, that they aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing as it pertains to their WAM plant. And they also probably are working outside of the administrative consent order that they agreed to. And so we as citizens are having to put together all of these massive reports to see that, okay, this is incorrect, this doesn't match this doesn't work here, and that kind of thing. It's very hard for citizens to be doing this. So we've come because we have all of these questions that are completely unanswered.
But I would be happy to take, if you write down your concerns, I'll be happy to pass them along.
Okay,
And that's the best I'm going to be able to do for you today.
Yeah, and that we can't even get a respectful answer to any email or any phone call. And it's unacceptable. It's just unacceptable. And since you're the only person I can say that to, I have to say it to you.
Well,
we are the taxpayers paying for this service and this office, right? You are answerable to us, actually.
So this is it's a tough sell, and I know people get upset when people say that, but the bottom line is good. We're getting nothing, and we have a massive project going on in a highly contaminated area that is an urban area with households that some of them are less than 500 feet from this area. And we are feeling completely unprotected, unlistened to, obviously unanswered. And that's where our frustration comes in. And if we can write down the questions,
I'd appreciate it if you would.
I can tell you that Mr. Martin, Debbie, Mark, Millie have the questions. They have the questions. They've had them since October.
Do you have the whole project in front of you when you make that decision to give them a permit?
There's not a permit.
The final project.
There isn't a permit associated with the cleanup under the Massachusetts contingency plan. You're talking about the permit for the compressor. Today we're talking about the release abatement measure plan.
I understand that, but there's still the DEP. Does the DEP look at the whole project?
I can tell you that if there is a permit in front of us, our job is to ensure that we look at all the data. But again, today we have a lot of ground that we need to cover germane to the ongoing activities right now, which is the cleanup.
We do too.
But again, one of the frustrations is we don't get accurate site plans, or we keep getting changing site plans. So trying to figure out what they're doing is...
The land was filled with asbestos bricks. We know that. This is fact. From the Edgar coal-fired plant. A drill came in, half the size of this room, went down at least 5 feet, maybe 6. All of those asbestos bricks being there.
Would you agree that if asbestos were being moved onto public roadways that weren't being listed as such today? Okay, if just like the stuff that was dug with the backhoe that we've seen, and it wasn't marked as such, would you agree that that constitutes a public health emergency? How much urgency would you put on such a event? If it were to happen, would you call that a matter of urgency?
That is a really broad word.
You state in the following sentence that all of Enbridge's sources equipped with an EMD consistently use transmission level power.
Correct.
What do you base that statement on?
The assertion or the documentation provided by Enbridge.
Which was just a table, right, in a memo that you received?
Correct.
You didn't independently confirm the transmission level power arrangements for each of the EMDs that Enbridge advised you of, correct?
Correct.
All of you who have worked so hard for 6 long years, all of you who have supported us for 6 long years, thank you. Senator Ed Markey, who has, like I said, supported us all along in fighting this.
Thank you, Alice, so much. Thank you for your incredible leadership over all these years. Thank you to all of the activists, community leaders who are here today, who have demonstrated just an incredible commitment to environmental justice and fairness, to taking on Enbridge as they tried to build a straw through Weymouth and Braintree and Quincy so they could move natural gas from Pennsylvania up to Canada and off to the world markets, to China and to Europe. What's in it for Weymouth? What's in it? Nothing but taking the risks of environmental damage that could occur if an accident occurs on this location. So let me just say this. The Weymouth Compressor Station is a dangerous and unnecessary project that must be stopped. Last September, the Weymouth Compressor Station was placed into service despite strong and vocal opposition from this surrounding set of communities. That same month, the compressor station experienced 2 unplanned gas releases, which prompted the Pipeline and Hazardous Materials Safety Administration, PHMSA, the federal agency responsible for the safety of this site, to halt the compressor station's activities.
Welcome to the Great Elk Gathering! The Great Elk Gathering, thank you for being here. Welcome!
Bless all the children who have played around here and loved nature around here and grown around here. Bless the children of our past who have died from the toxins of this area.
Walshy, how many females do we have?
What's your name, sir? At least 2 females.
All right, Jen, can you come pat her down?
All right. Everything on?
All right, everybody back up. Everybody with the camera, back up right now. Just go on the ground. You are literally in the middle of the people we are arresting. Get over there, please. Back up. Just
Arrest Enbridge! Who do you serve? Who do you protect? Who do you serve? Who do you protect?
I don't have the power.
Thank you!
Climate heroes! That's called thank you, climate protectors.
Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Compressor station's got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Compressor station! We'll be back! We'll be back!
I just want to acknowledge that there are a number of groups that have come together to
collaborate on this action, and we need to do more of that, and it is an honor and a privilege to be present in this kind of an action, and we've got some momentum, and we're going to keep going. So blessings on us. Yes. Bring your friends.
Right now I'm a little bit in my emotions because right now this fight is a little bit personal to me. Like I said, this is more than just a fight to be a pain in the ass to somebody. I sit out here and I look at these little kids, and I have kids of my own. I have 3. I have nieces, I have nephews. The world is just children. It's up to us. The fire was already ignited in each of one of us standing here right now. It's up to us to do what we have to do to secure a future, because if we don't, there's not going to be much left, if anything at all. I refuse to stand here and be a statistic for these people and these companies. I refuse. I've been a statistic all my life. I'm Native American, I'm half Passamaquoddy, I'm half Mi'kmaq. The East Coast has been my home all my life. These waters are all I know. Traveling back and forth. So when I say I've been a statistic long enough, being Native alone is just a statistic. Am I gonna go missing? Is somebody gonna be mean because I am who I am? I've had to deal with it all my life. But right now, that's past me. Because I sit here and I look at all of you as allies right now. You don't understand the justice that you're serving to this earth that you're standing on for indigenous people. Your allyship means more than you know. This isn't just a fight for us. This is a fight for these kids. And that's always going to be my message. Fight for these kids. They deserve the future that we as parents promised them. I refuse to stand here and let companies continue to destroy the necessity of our lives, the necessity of their lives. Because you know, while they're over there getting so hot digging up the ground, when they get parched, what are they sipping on? Water. Take every piece of strength that's ever been molded into your body and rise as tall and as far up as you can, because there's strength in numbers. And if you haven't noticed, we're bringing these to their knees.
Thank you all for coming. I would like to say thank you to Carrie Labrador for her words. We know that this land would belong to the Massachusetts. We'll try this. And that now we host this land, but we hold this land. And that's what we're here for today. We're here to hold the land, to hold it with our feet, to hold it with our hearts, and to know that what Enbridge is doing is wrong. They do not belong here.
Thank you, Alice. And I'm doing double duty here, so I'm live streaming you all while I'm giving a few remarks. So I'm here as a scientist who could not look the other way when I saw what was happening here years ago, 5 years into this battle. And I've learned so much that's broadened my knowledge from the advocates like Alice, like Margaret, like Wendy, like Andrea, like all the rest who have educated me on so many of the problems that have been here. And then the legal experts, Mike Hayden and others who in the air quality appeals that we were in, opened my eyes to the injustice that our state, our governor, and our Department of Environmental Protection is perpetrating on the 3,100 kids that live in the blast zone and in harm's way, that they're actively putting in harm's way. So I'm a scientist, but I want to associate my comments with Carrie Labrador. I'm a parent, and I care about the kids that our state is allowing to be poisoned by Enbridge. And I care about the kids that are in Nova Scotia, the gas of which, if it were coming through Weymouth, would poison the waters that they depend on. And so it's heartbreaking to watch what's going on in front of our very eyes here and to feel powerless. But when I see you all here, I feel power in our numbers. And I want to just say that we've seen that there's never any stage at which toxic infrastructure cannot be taken down. We saw it in Fore River just a year ago when $600 million cooling towers were imploded only 4 years after they were erected. So this compressor station, no matter what stage it's at, even if it gets built, we're not going away.
We have done every single thing by the book. We have read the laws, we have protested, we have written comments, and we've tried to make our voices heard, and our voices have been ignored by those in charge. But we're not giving up. We're out here today, we're going to be out there tomorrow, and we're going to be out there until this thing stops and we get our land back. Thank you very much, and see you out there.
Shut it down! Shut it down! Shut it down! Shut it down!
The next step from here is to get ourselves all energized, maybe have a chant that we can start singing. We have the state police here joining us.
Back up, please.
Right on the corner, just come onto the property.
You can keep taking pictures. Just back up a little bit, okay?
What do we want? Climate justice! When do we want it? Now! 1. We are the people. 2. We love each other. 3. We will not let you wreck our planet.
Are you gonna go, sir?
I'm going. Get behind the barrier.
You just gotta let me know.
Hey, we got Mike. We got.
Climate justice! Now! Climate justice! Now!
Somehow you didn't want to take a couple people walking back and start addressing the people. I don't see them walking around. All right, hey.
So this facility operates under very high pressure and pumps through its pipelines a material that is highly explosive. We've already experienced in Massachusetts in the Merrimack Valley what it looks like to have explosions of low pressure gas. So this facility pumps high pressure gas. So an explosion at this site would be catastrophic. It would impact the bridge that is here behind us. It would impact the other industrial facilities nearby, which similarly contain explosive materials. It is possible that it could set off a ring of destruction around it that would risk the health and safety of many thousands of people who live in quite close proximity to this site. So there was a large volume release of gas twice in short order in recent weeks, which raises real concerns about safety and explosion risk.
On September 11th, crews at the site manually triggered the emergency shutdown system following a gasket failure, releasing 169,000 cubic feet of natural gas into the air, according to the pipeline agency's summary. Federal regulators on Thursday ordered energy giant Enbridge to investigate 2 recent emergency shutdowns at the brand new Weymouth Compressor Station and draft a plan to minimize risks once operations at the facility restart following a pause.
How would we evacuate school children and residents who literally live across the street?
According to the Physicians for Social Responsibility report, within just a half-mile of the proposed site, according to the Weymouth Mayor's office, there are 964 households alone. Within a 2-kilometer, 1.2-mile radius of the proposed compressor station site, there are schools with 3,100 students, elderly housing, nursing homes, and a mental health facility.
There is no plan for dealing with a catastrophic explosion at this site. No plan. And it poses a grave risk to all of the residents who live nearby.
The danger of a cascading explosion is very real. An explosion could start at the Enbridge compressor station during a blowdown, then rapidly expand to the Calpine oil storage tanks, the New England fertilizer storage tanks, the Citgo gasoline and oil tanks, the Sprague terminal, and the methane from the MWRA facility and the Algonquin pipeline itself. This could result in a massive chain reaction, setting off tens of thousands of gallons of explosive gases and other volatile materials. Other compressor stations have exploded. Few are in such close proximity to so much explosive materials as the Weymouth Compressor Station. This is a catastrophe waiting to happen. U.S. Representative Stephen Lynch and others are calling for officials to shutter the 8-month-old Weymouth Compressor Station following a third unplanned gas leak at the facility this week. Every accident at the Weymouth Compressor Station endangers the lives of local residents and surrounding communities, and these so-called blowouts have become a dangerous pattern of releasing harmful gas into the nearby residential neighborhood, Lynch said in a statement. It is completely unacceptable to allow Enbridge to continue their operations. U.S. Representative Lynch stated in his September 14, 2020 press release, "This could have easily been a mass casualty event," said Lynch. Obviously, the proper safety protocols were not followed, and the gravest fears of Weymouth residents and the many opponents of this compressor station have been justified.
For the 4th time in less than a year, the Weymouth natural gas facility has been shut down. This was first reported by WBUR. A spokesperson for the company that owns and operates the compressor says they are performing maintenance work. A number of people have called for that facility to be shut down for good.
Security experts are calling a cyber attack on the nation's largest fuel pipeline the worst yet on a piece of critical U.S. infrastructure.
This is one of my worst nightmares come to light.
A crippling cyber attack that forced a major U.S. energy pipeline offline Friday. Cyber intruders inserted ransomware inside systems of energy giant Colonial Pipeline, making demands for payment.
You're holding a major component of the United States infrastructure hostage for ransom.
Unfortunately, these sorts of attacks are becoming more frequent.
The company appears to have brought down activity on the pipeline Friday to prevent the hackers from inflicting more damage. But that left open the question of whether the attackers themselves now have the ability to directly turn the pipelines on or off, or trigger operations that could cause an accident.
I find this asbestos and this existing, like this coal industrial waste dump to be very straightforward. And Baker wants nothing to do with it. He is the boss of this. He's the boss of all of this. And it is because he wants it that it's happening. Nobody else wants this. He has not been made to feel the pain of this. I didn't know what a compressor was 3.5 years ago. The things that I know now and the lack of recourse and due process, this happens to Weymouth. This will happen to you because as long as Charlie Baker is governor, because any facility that's bad for you or something you want to keep away from your family, he's just gonna grease through a goose, no problem, put it in. So it's not just us, it's not just gas, it's everybody in Massachusetts. And as we know, there are 7 or 8 other gas projects, modernization, which means bigger, more pressure, bigger things, add a compressor there, add a this there, you know, Agawam, Charlton, all of that stuff. Like it's going on all across Massachusetts. Yeah, I know, right? Talk to them.
People in Weymouth are fighting a natural gas compressor station at the urging of Congressman Stephen Lynch. Federal regulators are planning to hold a field hearing into this. From our State House Bureau, WGBH Radio's Mike Dean reports on one woman's quiet, improbable, but persistent effort to win over the governor and stop the compressor.
Andrea Honore is a 47-year-old mother of 2 who spends her lunch breaks sitting in the elegant foyer outside the governor's office, waiting for Charlie Baker.
I'm waiting for him to follow the law. I'm waiting for him to do, his sworn duty to protect the people of Massachusetts. I'm waiting for him to tell the DEP, to tell them to do their jobs, follow the law, follow the policies.
Nearly every weekday, Honore leaves her office in the financial district and walks the half-mile to the State House, sometimes grabbing a smoothie in place of lunch.
A federal court threw out the Weymouth Compressor Station air permit, ordered the administration to reconduct the test there. Are you going to do that? How do you feel about that court order?
Well, first of all, the court order basically rejected almost all of the accusations that were made with respect to all of the issues that were raised by the locals. What they focused on in particular was whether or not there had been adequate work done to determine if there should be a substation there in addition to the compressor. We're currently reviewing the decision, and we'll make a decision on how to go forward sometime soon.
Governor Baker and the Mass DEP have done absolutely nothing to protect the citizens of the Fore River Basin. Nothing. Charlie Baker, as far as he's concerned, this needs to operate for absolutely no reason. He does not care about the health, the safety, or the economy of the South Shore, and particularly the people, does not care about the Fore River Basin. So that's Charlie Baker. The DEP, I'm pretty sure they haven't done their job for 30 years.
As far as the governor, he has ignored the people of the Fore River Basin. He has just set the Fore River Basin up as a sacrifice zone for this company. This would be the people of East Braintree, the people of North Weymouth, the people of Germantown. He does not care about these people. He has put this project ahead of the health and safety of these people. You have Twin Rivers nearby with their hydrogen tanks. I mean, everything around here is flammable. And if methane plume ignites, it could be like a domino effect. It could be catastrophic.
walks like Governor Climate talks like Governor Gas. We talk like Governor Climate walks like Governor Gas. Governor Gas. Governor Gas.
Stop the Weymouth gas compressor. Stop the Weymouth gas compressor. Stop the Weymouth gas compressor early in the morning. Way ho, up she rises, way hey, and up she rises, way hey, and up she rises, justice in the morning. Tell big oil to go and shove it. Tell big oil to go and shove it. Tell big oil to go, shove it early in the morning.
Baker, Enbridge, don't you dare put more toxins in the air. Baker, Enbridge, don't you dare put more toxins in the air. For our children's future, keep it in the ground. For our children's future, keep it in the ground. Keep it in the ground. Keep it in the ground. Don't dig it up and don't drill down. Just keep it in the ground. We don't need up and don't drill down. Keep it in the ground. We don't need no pipelines. Keep it in the ground. Keep it in the ground. Keep it in the ground. Don't dig it up and don't drill down. Just keep it in the ground.
What it all comes down to is people just want to be able to live their lives, free to enjoy what they love, free to enjoy their families, free from being poisoned or perhaps blown up, free from toxic gases, free from developing life-ending cancer, free from a fracked gas compressor station right next door.
Up she rises early in the morning.
Listen to our indigenous leaders.
Listen to our indigenous leaders. Listen to our indigenous leaders early in the morning.